Welcome back. In the previous episode I have shown how I stemmed out or frozen out the different tracks and separated out the MIDI drums so that you have more control over each virtual microphone, so to speak, and have more control over your drum mix and your drum bus. So this is a very quick video to show where we're at. In episode 8 we showed how to do a quick kind of rough mix and a rough master, but because I'm putting this one out, this track out properly, I have decided to go, the full hog with it, and do a proper final mix and a proper final master the way it should be done. And I thought, why not show you how I have done that. So the first thing is, just like I did the freezing and the separating out of the tracks for the drums, I have done the same here. In this case I've not frozen the tracks because I completely saved a complete new instance of this, and then what I did was I made a stem out of each track, a fairly raw stem. So that means that all the effects that I apply to these stems are now kind of applied to a fairly raw bass tracks that were recorded. So that means I did essentially a remix of everything: the guitars, the drums, the vocals, everything. So these are now stems that can also be used to remix or send to anybody else. If you're not happy with your own, you want to send it to a professional or whatever you want to do. So essentially each drum has been fleshed out and separated out into a stem to be remixed with its own additional effects. Drum bust, then the guitars were remixed as well. I was happy with the guitar sound, but the actual mixing of it and cutting and fades in and fades out were redone. The bass was completely redone, the mix itself, the vocals as well. The way I stemmed the vocals was I just compressed them to such an extent that they're all roughly the same volume, so that I don't have to apply too much EQ and compression on the finals. So what we have then is the following. So I'm a lot happier with this mix. There's a couple of things I did which I prefer to the previous. Is I've added this console 6 channel that is from Air Windows. Check them out. Just Google Air Windows. They have got a lot of really interesting VSTs. They're based around mimicking. This one is a Neve console emulator driving a Neve console. A Neve channel strip. Now, as you can see, it has no EQ or compression settings. It's just what does it, that kind of the coloring that it gives, and it adds that to the track. Then we have compressed it and EQ'd each track, so the bass and snare together, then another snare, the toms, and we pushed it all towards a drum bus where we put some tape emulation on it and did some drum bus compression. The same with the guitars. Actually stripped a lot of the effects off. I thought that they were actually hampering instead of doing anything for it. So we just have the little notch happening here on the muting. That's just, when that palm muting bass build up, it just kind of dampens that a little bit. The bass was basically just EQ'd a bit better, sit better, and then the vocals did quite a bit of vocals, including adding some saturation and distortion. Took myself out another crime. Hell opened another door closed. So that is it. Just kind of rejigged levels, a little bit of automation, a little bit of cleanup, but also I actually exported everything. In this case, it's not showing now because I reverted back, but actually all of these were exported to 96 kilohertz 24-bit WAV files, and the actual mixing this, the rendering of this, was also done in 96 kilohertz. I've said this before, and to my ears it sounds as if the instruments are better separated out and clearer when you mix in a higher bitrate. Now obviously everything was recorded at 48, so we're not, you know, I'm not getting anything back that wasn't there. That's not the point. The point is just that it seems like the Reaper and most DAWs essentially sound as if they can deal with actually putting everything together in the end better during with a higher bitrate. There are other things at play here too. If you compress, especially nonlinear compression and EQing, adds a lot of subharmonics, and some of them become quite nasty, and they build up within a mix if you're mixing at lower bit rates. So a lot of the processing has been done at a higher bit rate, and it seems to be a much cleaner, clearer, more defined kind of mix. This was rendered out at 96 kilohertz, and then what I did was basically went through a proper mastering process. Now, rendering this out, I do have some compression, I do have some bus coloration, I do have some EQ, and I do have some loudness to get it to a certain degree of good sounding, but only to a certain level. The rest of the mastering is then done separately, and we'll show you that in the next episode.